All right, guys, sorry I'm not there today, but we're going to continue on and give you a chance to continue working with ratios. So I'm going to go through a quick lesson here to give you a little bit more, a couple more skills to move forward. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to talk a bit more about equivalent ratios. So Luke, put the technology face down. I can see it in the desk. You too, DeJong. Come on, put the phone away, please. Liam, quiet down. All right, ready? Luke, I still see it. Put the iPad away. All right, good. So, equivalent ratios from the other day. You guys are getting to the point where you were working with, I'm going to call them simple ones. Not that they're easy, but simple ones that look like this, 4 to blank. So my hope was that most of you could see that, hey, you know what happened? We just doubled the 2, and that became a 4. 2 times 2 is 4. So because we're Canadian, we also double the 3 as well, and we get an equivalent fraction of 6. So 2 to 3 is equal to 4 to 6. All right? Now, what happens if we run into a ratio or a proportion that looks like this? All right? So what do we do here? Emma, Jaden, I'm not there. There's no sense putting your hand up. All right? Not there. I'm not going to ask you questions. I'm just asking them rhetorically. So get your hands down. All right. 4 to 6 equals 6 to blank. So when we go this direction, I had people the other day that said, you know what? Well, 4 and to 6, that just means I added a half more. So basically, I multiplied by a half and then added. And you know what? If you see that, that's fantastic. Not everyone sees that. All right, so half of 4 is 2. So we added 2 to that. And that's where we got our 6 from. So that means on this one, we're going to add 3 to that. So 4 to 6 is the same as 6 to 9. Now, not everyone works that way, and not every question is quite this nice. Okay, so these are the ones that you're going to focus on today at the end. So what happens if we have 7 to 5 equals 10 to blank? All right, so now we start looking at, well, what's the relationship going to 7, from 7 to 10? And you find out pretty quick that, there's nothing nice here. Half of 7 is 3.5, so that's not going to work. You can go ahead and you can do your calculator and do some calculations and figure it out, but what I'm going to do is give you the bulletproof method so this works every time. All right? So I'm going to give it a letter. We're missing A. Okay? So step 1. So I'm going to put this in steps. Step 1, write as a fraction. It's the first thing we do. All right? So we're going to write this as a fraction. So 7 to 5 becomes 7 over 5 equals 10 over A. So now we have 2 fractions that are equal to each other. Step 2, cross multiply. Cross multiply. All right, now cross multiply means we take the denominator, the bottom number on one fraction, and we multiply it up here. So that means that 5, I'm going to put this extra step in so that when you get the note, you can see the steps. So we do 5 times 10. So there's the 1 cross multiply, and 7 times A, and that is just 7A. And it's the same thing every time. All right, 7 times A is just the number and the letter side by side. All right, final step is divide by number in front of letter. Number in front of letter. This works 100% of the time. Okay? And let me reiterate again. If you can do it up here, like we did in step 1 and step 2, all right? Or I should say, if you can do it this way, or this makes sense to you and you can see how to do it, continue doing that. For people that both of those methods you're kind of looking at going, I don't know if I can remember to do this. This method right here, this method works every time, 100% of the time, all the time. Okay? Never a time where this does not work. So it is your bulletproof method. So back to what the step was. Step 3 was divide the number in front of the letter. So we are going to, there's a 7, I'm going to divide by 7. We're Canadian. We do the same to the other side. What happens then is that the numbers, 7 divided by 7 is 1. So you're left with A equals, and now you have 50. 5 times 10 is 50. Divided by 7 is 7.1. Okay? So there are your 3 steps. 1, 2, and 3. All right? So I want to do a couple of examples with you, and then you'll get an opportunity. This is what you're working on today. This is the only skill. So, Travis, okay, you and Luke, no more gaming. Put the iPads down and pay attention. All right? Good. Landon, it's not that funny. Quit laughing. All right. So here we go. What happens if the variable's on top? So what happens if, and let's forget about the ratio for a second. This is the skill I want you to be able to do. So what happens if I say a fraction, a over 5, is equal to 11 over 23? Okay? None of these numbers are nice. 5 does not go into 23, and it's something you can't do off the top of your head. What do? Step 1, cross multiply. All right, so that becomes 5 times 11. The other one is 23 times A. Well, you just write it as 23A. Now you divide both sides by the number in front of the letter. So divide by 23. 23 divided by 23 becomes a 1. It disappears. We have 5 times 11 is 55 over 23. And for those that are using your calculators, it is 2.4. Okay? So that finds the missing value in your ratio or proportion. All right? And today you're just going to work from the fraction form. Again, it's 3 steps. It works every time. All right? So what happens if I move the letter to a different location? What happens if it is 3 over B equals 19 over 34? All right? So the instructions on the other side, step 1, cross multiply. So now the number is going to be on this side. 3 times 34. Cross multiply on the other side. 19 and B. So the number and letter just get written side by side. Divide both sides by the number in front of B. 19 divided by 19. When we do that, 19 divided by 19 is 1. It cancels out, so all you have is a B. And on this side, using your calculator, 3 times 34 is 102 over 19. So we end up with 5.4 equals B. So it does not matter where the variable is located. If we look back to the previous example, see how the variable was located on the bottom of the second fraction. All right. Over here, I put it on top of the first fraction. Over here, I put it on the bottom of the first fraction. So it does not matter where it is. It works every time, all the time. All right? Are there any questions? Trick question. I can't see you, so don't bother putting your hand up. All right? Your worksheet, you were doing a bunch of these questions. All right? There are a couple of review questions from the previous day that I want to make sure you understand. So you should have completed the diagnostic test, hopefully to the best of your abilities. You've watched the lesson. In the handout that you're going to get with the homework, this note with these instructions right here are going to be there for you to follow. All right? Hand that in before the end of class, and the rest of the time is yours to behave appropriately. Hoping for a good report. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys.